50 quick-fire biology questions. Let's go. Here's how to use this video. You need to grab a pen and paper, and when you see the questions, pause the video and quickly answer the questions on the paper. You need to write with your blue or black pen, and then you need to have a purple pen for marking. So if you got it right, put a tick, or if you got it wrong, just put a small cross. Then use a different colored pen, probably green, to do your corrections. Here are the first 5 questions on cell biology. Please pause the video and try the questions. When you are ready to check the answers, press play. Here are the answers. What is the function of the mitochondria? Mitochondria is the site of respiration, so this is where most of the reactions of cellular respiration takes place. In a bacterial cell, genetic material are found in the cytoplasm because there's no organized nucleus, so it is found as a circular DNA or plasmids. What is the job of the ribosomes? Protein synthesis. The main difference is that prokaryotic cells do not have an organized nucleus. Eukaryotic cells have a membrane-bound organized nucleus, whereas prokaryotic cells don't have that. Question number 5, the function of the chloroplast. That's where photosynthesis takes place. Here are the next set of questions, questions 6 to 10. Please pause the video and try these questions. When you are ready for the answers, continue the video. Which microscope has higher magnification, light or electron? Obviously, the electron microscope has a much greater magnification. What is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of particles from high to low concentration, or we say along a concentration gradient. One example of diffusion in the human body, diffusion of oxygen in lungs. That's how oxygen goes from alveoli into blood. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a high water concentration to low water concentration across a semi-permeable membrane. Now, it is really important to note that diffusion could apply to any molecule. So in diffusion, we could be talking about any substance, but in osmosis, we are particularly talking about water molecules, and they go from a higher water concentration to a lower water concentration, and it only happens through a semi-permeable membrane, or we can call it a partially permeable membrane. Active transport is the movement of substances against a concentration gradient. Now, this is really important. It goes against a concentration gradient, meaning it goes from low to high concentration using energy. It's an active process. It requires energy. Here are the last 5 questions on cell biology. Pause the video and try these questions. Here are the answers. Why do root hair cells need a lot of mitochondria? Now remember, mitochondria are the organelles where energy is released. So why do root hair cells in particular need more of them? To release energy for active transport. In plant cells, cell walls provide mechanical strength and support to the cell. The 3 main stages of the cell cycle are cell growth. The next part is where the DNA replication takes place, and mitosis. Mitosis is a type of cell division where the body produces identical cells. Why is mitosis important? For growth, repair, and replacement of cells. Questions on organization. Here we have questions 16 to 20. Please pause the video and answer these questions. Here are the answers. A tissue is a group of similar cells working together. An organ consists of a group of tissues working together to perform a particular function. The function of lungs is gas exchange, which means taking in oxygen and removing carbon dioxide. The 4 components of blood are red blood cells, RBC, white blood cells, platelets, and plasma. The role of red blood cells is carrying oxygen. Red blood cells contain a pigment called hemoglobin, and in lungs, hemoglobin binds with oxygen to become oxyhemoglobin. And in body tissues, the exact opposite happens, and it releases oxygen. Here are the next 5 questions on the same topic. Pause the video and try the questions. The job of platelets is to help the blood to clot at a wound. What is the main function of white blood cells? White blood cells defend against infection. The function of plasma is to carry dissolved substances like glucose, urea, carbon dioxide, and also distribution of heat. The blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart are arteries. Which blood vessel has valves? Veins. Veins have valves to help keep the blood flowing in the right direction. Here you can see the questions 26 to 30. Pause the video and answer the questions. What is coronary heart disease, CHD? Coronary heart disease is caused by buildup of fatty material in coronary arteries. What is a stent? A stent is a tube inserted to keep the arteries open. Here you can see how a stent works. So if someone's coronary artery is blocked due to plaque, there will be reduced blood flow, and that will be a problem for this person's health. So when a stent is used, it expands here, and it flattens the fat deposit, and then it increases the blood flow. A statin is a drug that lowers blood cholesterol. Enzymes are biological catalysts, so they speed up biological reactions without getting used up. The optimum pH value for enzymes in the stomach is around pH 2 acidic conditions. Here are the next 5 questions. Questions 31 to 35. Pause the video and try these. Amylase breaks down starch into simple sugars like glucose or maltose. Bile is produced in the liver. Bile is stored in gallbladder but is produced in the liver. What does bile do? Emulsifies fats and neutralizes stomach acid. Now imagine there is a large fat globule that requires digesting. Now the effective surface area of this fat globule is relatively low. So what bile does is it breaks this down into smaller droplets like this, and bile stops them from joining back again, which increases the efficiency of the process of digestion. Name one factor that affects the enzyme activity. The answer would be temperature, pH value, something like that. What is the test for starch? When you add iodine solution, which is orange-brown in color, it turns blue-black if starch is present. Now remember in the exam, if they ask you for the color change, you do not just say, or it changes iodine solution to blue-black. You need to say from brown-orange to blue-black to get full marks. Next up, infection and response. Please pause the video and do these 5 questions. Malaria is caused by a protist known as Plasmodium. What is a vector? A vector is an organism that spreads a disease. For example, mosquitoes. Antibiotics can be used to treat bacterial infections. Remember, you cannot use them to treat viral infections. It would work for bacterial infections. Why don't antibiotics kill viruses? Because viruses live and reproduce inside body cells. So another reason is that viruses don't have the structures that antibiotics can target, which makes them different to bacteria. A vaccine is simply dead or inactive form of a pathogen, or sometimes it could be just a protein that is found in a pathogen. It's weakened or dead pathogen. Here are 5 more questions. Please pause the video and continue the questions. How do vaccines work? They stimulate white blood cells to make antibodies. When dead or weakened pathogens are inserted to the body identifies this as a real threat. Then the white blood cells will make antibodies. Herd immunity is when enough people are immune so the disease cannot spread. Let's explain this using a simple diagram. Imagine this is a population, and in this, people are not immunized, they are not vaccinated, and here's a different one. I am using a different color for this. So in this one, majority of the people are immunized. Now imagine if a person with a contagious disease go into this population, that person can easily spread the disease to the people around, and they will spread to more people, and a large number of people can actually get unwell. However, if the same happens to the other one, a sick person goes into an immunized community, most of the people around this person are immunized, so it will not go further. What is an antigen? A protein marker on the surface of a pathogen. Almost every invading pathogen has a unique molecule that we call an antigen on its surface. White blood cells produce antibodies to fight pathogens. Monoclonal antibodies are identical lab-made antibodies that target specific cells or substances. Here are the last 5 questions, and they are on bioenergetics. Pause the video and try these questions. The word equation for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water gives you glucose and oxygen. You can also write the conditions required for this chlorophyll and sunlight. Factors that can limit the rate of photosynthesis are intensity of light, temperature, CO2 concentration, things like that. The purpose of photosynthesis is to make glucose for respiration and growth. Word equation for aerobic respiration is just the opposite of photosynthesis. Glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide and water and energy. What is anaerobic respiration when there is not enough oxygen for respiration? Respiration can happen without oxygen, so this produces relatively less amount of energy, but quickly, and as a byproduct, it produces lactic acid. That's 50 biology questions done. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and check out for the second part for Biology Paper 2.